We're going to check the header board of the trailer, make sure that the front here there's no bulges or nothing's busted or broke. We're going to look for marker lights and scan on down. This is the kingpin box. This is where the paperwork for the trailer only is kept. And it's sometimes a spiral container. Other times it's actually a rectangle with all the paperwork in it, but it's waterproof, keeps the paper safe. We want to check the inspection, make sure that the inspection numbers match and this won't expire on us before we head on out. I'm going to come around, I'm going to go right down the side of the trailer. So I do a quick scan all the way down, looking for any abrasions, anything that's damage done to the side of the trailer that would affect us transporting a load. Or I'd also want to report that damage if this is a part of a fleet. Make sure that that's reported before I get rolling. We've already checked the coupling of the vehicle, all of the axle and everything here. So let's just go right into the trailer landing gear. Let's look and make sure that all the supporting brackets and the braces across are anchored and everything looks in good condition, and that on both sides of the landing gear, these feet, the pads are on that'll support the weight of the trailer. I want to make sure that that handle is in its secure spot, properly latches and goes up and down. Make sure it's back and secure. So I come on down the side of the trailer. The other things I'm looking for is this DOT tape. If you notice right on it, it says DOT. It has to be approved DOT reflective tape. And I'm also looking at the condition of the trailer, and I'm also looking at side marker lights. Make sure they're amber in color and that any reflectors or lights are in proper position and not cracked or broken. While I'm here, I'm going to do a quick scan underneath. I'm looking across to make sure all my cross members, cross beams are in place. I don't have any of them missing so that the load won't be compromised. This leads me down to the rear axles of the trailer. As I look in here first, this is a sliding axle. And so I want to make sure that these pins are engaged so this axle will not shift. I can turn this lever back up and engage the air, and that releases the pins. And if I were to start the tractor up and pull forward, I could slide this fifth wheel all the way, or these axles all the way back, or I could go in reverse and move all these axles all the way up front. So I'm going to re-engage, make sure my pins are engaged, and my clutch lever is down. Okay, so we got that. I make sure the hoses aren't hanging excessively low, so I don't have to worry about anything getting caught up into there. It's on a spring, so it can move up and down with this sliding axle. This leads me right into the suspension. On a trailer, I like to look across so that I don't crawl under there and have to get way dirty. So let's look across at my suspension, and you can see that this is an air ride suspension. See the airbag right there. I'm looking for any cracks, bulges, cuts on that airbag, looking and listening, see if there's any air leaks. I can see my shock, my top and bottom bolts, and the shock itself, and I can see that there's no oil on that seam. And I'm checking the rest of the suspension brackets and arms, and they're all properly attached and secured. While I'm here, I'm going to look right across. Let's chad the brakes. I see my brake chamber. I see that it's not loose or hanging. I see my hoses coming out. I don't see or hear any leaks. I can see that long push rod going right into the brake chamber attached to the slack adjuster, and I got about a 90-degree angle. And I can look right across and I can see the brake drum lining, and I've got a great amount of brake pad there. I want at least 1/4 inch, and I've got plenty. I check the inside tire wall and make sure there's no cuts or bulges on that side wall, and that the rim has no cracks or welds on it. Now we've done the inside of that. I'm just going to pull out and do the outside of these. When I get around to the other side, I'm going to do the inside of these and the outside of those. So let's go right here. We're going to ICD these tires. Inflation, give them a good thump, make sure I get a good rebound. I can also do a tire gauge check right here with the valves. I want to check the condition, make sure that the tread wear is even on both tires, and they're about an evenly matched tread depth. Proper tread depth on a rear tire of a trailer is 2/32, and I want to make sure that that's an even tread depth all the way across. I check the spacing, make sure that there's nothing inside, and it's also even space all the way around. And then I do the outside spiral check. I check the sidewall, make sure that there's no cuts or bulges on the tire. I go right to the rim, make sure there's no cracks or welds on this rim. I go to my lug nuts, make sure that they're all present and tight. They're not loose. And I go to this hub. This is a sealed hub. It doesn't even have sight glass, so I'm just looking for any signs of leakage around it, and it usually manifests itself on the rim. We move ourselves right back to the second set of tires. I want to ICD again, inflation, or I can check with the air gauge. I want to check spacing, condition, make sure that it's an even tread wear. Tread depth is 2/32. Let's spiral check the sidewall, make sure there's no cuts or abrasions or bulges on the sidewall. To my rim, there's no cracks or welds. Lug nuts, they're all present and tight. And again, this is a sealed hub, so I don't have, I want to check to see if there's any leaking around. That leads me to the back of the trailer. My mud flap is in position. I want to come around. This is an ABS check light, and my wire's properly attached there. When I turn the lights on and we do a light check, that'll light up if something is out of adjustment. I follow that around. I have my top down again, so I want to check the top. I have to have at least 3 marker lights, and you can see the 3 right in the center. They can be either at the top or right here in the center. This trailer has 5 marker lights, so I want to make sure that the lenses on the top are all there and everything's in place. I scan down. I want to look at the condition of the door, make sure everything's in place, nothing looks out of line. This is the latch system for the door. I want to just check that it's in working condition and that the doors slide up and down and that this latch is back into place and the safety latch is over it. I scan down and I check my lights, make sure I have I have 4. These will be my tail lights, my turn signals, and my 4-ways and my brake lights. The lens caps on all of these are in good condition and in proper order. I got my bumpers on my trailer, and I scan down. This is called the DOT bar, and this is to prevent cars from going underneath. And I just want to make sure that's in position and properly secured. Okay, we finished the rear of the trailer. Let's come around. This is going to be a lot of repeat, so this is going to be a quick review all the way down, because all we're going to do is repeat the inspections of things we've already done or already are familiar with. So we're going to start with this rear axle again, and let's start with ICDing the tires. Inflation, condition, and depth. Proper inflation, make sure I get a good bounce on the rebound with the hammer, or I can use a tire gauge. Check the condition of the tread and make sure that it's an even wear on both tires all the way around. And the tread depth on the rear tire, its acceptable depth is 2/32 or greater. I want to make sure that there's even spacing all the way around between the 2 dualies. And then I want to check the outside, spiral check the outside. So I'm going to check the sidewall for any cuts or bulges. Go right into the rim, make sure there's no cracks or welds on these rims. I'm going to go into my inside hub here and check the lug nuts. Make sure that they're all present and tight. And this is a sealed hub, so I want to look for any signs of oil leaking at the seams. Done that, we're going to move right on to the next tire. We're going to ICD the tires again. Inflation, make sure I get a good whack, rebound. Check the condition of that tread wear, make sure it's nice and even on both tires all the way around. Tread depth, acceptable tread depth on a rear tire is 2/32. Let's spiral check. Oh, well, let's make sure we get that spacing in between. Let's spiral check the outside here, make sure that I get no cuts or bulges on the sidewall here. Go right into the rim. There's no cracks or welds on that rim. Go right in and make sure that the tight lug nuts are all present and tight. Again, a sealed up hub. And so I want to look for any signs of a leaking hub. This is a hub ometer. This just checks how many miles that this trailer has traveled. So it's really not a part of the inspection. We've done the outside of these tires, and if you remember when we were on the other side of the vehicle, we had checked the inside of the tires and checked the braking and the suspension. We're going to do that again from here, so we're just going to crouch down without having to crawl under and get dirty. We can look right across and check the suspension. Let's start with the suspension, and I look at my mounting brackets and that torsion arm. I can see my airbag. I don't see any cuts or bulges on that. I don't see or hear any leaks. See that shock? And that's mounted on both sides, and I don't have any leaks. Appear to be any leaks on that shock. I can have an opportunity to chad my brakes now. So that C is for the chamber. Make sure that chamber is properly mounted. I don't have it loose or hanging. Got my hoses coming out. I'm listening for and looking for any leaks. I can see that long push rod that's attached to the slack adjuster. Make sure that's about a 90-degree angle. And then I can look right in and see my drum lining. Make sure I have about a 1/4 inch on that brake pad. From here, I can also look up and scan that rear axle. I can also access it by looking from the back in. I want to do the exact same thing for both axles. I'm checking the suspension, I'm chadding the brakes, checking the inside tire, make sure that there's no cracks bulges, breaks, or welds on the rims or the tires. After we've inspected both axles, the suspension, chatted the brakes and all, we can go ahead and pull out. We can just scan down the side of the trailer again, looking for any damage on the side of the trailer. We're also looking for the DOT tape, make sure it's all the way down, and then any marker lights or reflectors are all in place. I want to make sure that these are in amber in color. Then as I go down, I'm on this side of the landing gear, again checking all my brackets and braces, footprint, make sure that's all there. And then we come up to the front of the trailer, to the head of the trailer here, and we're back to where we started. We've completed a good outside inspection. Let's go do a light inspection and an in-cab inspection. We'll have this wrapped up.